Hello, everyone. I'm Adera, and we are live with a very special guest. This woman, Bettina, who you can see right here, there she is, I have followed for years. I've been to some of her classes on Commercial Drive in Vancouver, and it was just recently that we just so happened to be at the same place at the same time just a few weeks ago. She was doing a body, breath, and beat workshop retreat, and I was there filming something completely different, and our paths aligned, and it was just meant to be. It was just so beautifully coincidental. So Bettina is a somatic leadership coach and a conscious movement practitioner, and she's going to tell you a little bit more about what that means and following in your feminine energy to more embodied leadership in the new era, in the new world. Hi, Bettina.
Hi, Adera. Thank you so much for hosting me this morning. And yes, it was a magical moment when we met. And to me, that's exactly what this new way of leading is about, is to trust that our instinct, our intuition really guides us and brings us together to co-create and collaborate in ways that we could never do on our own.
It's so crazy to follow those intuitions and those signs. Most people block them or aren't open to receiving that information, would you say?
Yeah, I think most of us are really taught from a young age, to trust this only. Which we need as humans, of course, the cognition, our way to track ourselves around obstacles, to make plans. And yet to me, our intelligence that we have, and I call often upon the emotional and somatic intelligence in my work, which most of us, don't tap into on a regular basis. But, through those ways of tracking ourselves, we do tap into so much more of our potential, our intuition, our instinct, and just a way more tribal and more animalistic way of moving in the world that doesn't necessarily have to deny or, annihilate the brilliant minds that we are, but it is an addition that makes us a lot more whole, and I believe a lot more resilient and smart in how we live and lead in our lives.
Totally agree with you. So talk to me a little bit about embodying like our leadership and how that looks to you in regards to leading in a feminine way.
Yes. So my passion is all of this, is the body, right? Is like, how do we use this, not only to carry our heads around, but to actually transmit and access our potential through what I call the embodiment. And what that means is having awareness and consciousness inside of our bodies. So we have more of our attention in here than in the world out there. Mm-hmm. And the sensations and emotions that arise in the body become clues and tracking modalities to engage with life in a deeper way. But that means we actually need to be in here. And that is the embodiment part. Is like, how can I feel my feet on the ground? And, viewers, you can do that right now. Can you actually feel your feet? And with the feet comes a deep connection with the earth and the energy of the big mother. It's like, we're not separate, we're not disconnected. And often, when we're just in our leadership, moving around problems and planning and, trying to manage our schedule, we disconnect from that, and we disconnect from deep, deep wisdom and, our, I would say, inherent birthright to draw the power, through our bodies, from the earth, from the water, from the fire, from the air, all those elements that move deeply within us. Mm-hmm. And I believe, have so much to teach us. Mm-hmm. And it's up to us to tune in and listen. And we can't do it by thinking about it. It's an experience, and that can only take place in the body.
So let's do that now, shall we?
Shall we? So viewers, what I can recommend doing is, if you are kind of collapsed on your chairs, that you actually bring yourself to the front of your chair, or you can even get up and stand. And bring some attention to the soles of your feet for a moment. Just really spreading your feet out wide and receiving the earth through your feet, through the soles of your feet, through your heels. And taking a deep breath in, and then breathing out all the way down into the feet. And you can even move your feet from side to side a little bit to find that good grounded stand, or as if you're sitting, making the good grounded connection through your feet. Next, bringing your breath up through your legs. And I invite you to place both of your hands on your belly. So if you're a woman, you can bring your hands right onto your womb. If you're a man, just center it right below your belly button and take a few deep breaths into the belly button and into your womb, into your bellies. When we bring our attention here, we really honor our power, our fire, and our confidence that comes from being centered in the physical center of the body. Next, take another breath up, bringing your fingertips onto your heart center. You can have them pointing inward and just touching your heart very, very lightly. Breathing into your heart space. You can expand through the rib cage, through the upper body. And just notice what feelings are present in your heart space this morning. So much of this path of the feminine is about acknowledging and honoring what we're bringing to each moment in our own experience of body and heart. Next, drop your hands. Just give your shoulders a bit of a wiggle. Drop them back and down, moving the aliveness down into your arms and hands. The hands here are the messengers of the heart, so we want to keep them connected to the heart space. Lastly, bring your breath all the way up to the crown of the head and just extend upwards. And just notice how you're feeling after just this very, very short practice of bringing breath and attention into the body.
I'm feeling very embodied. We like this place instead of so heady, like you're saying. I mean, earlier today I was on a call with a girlfriend and all I was doing was talking from my head. Whereas when we actually incorporate and use our entire being to communicate, it's like, it's not coming from like some rattly, this kind of energy feeling. It's like a very whole feeling, or maybe a little more thoughtful of a conversation. Do you find?
Yeah, I mean, we track conversations or anything through all the different channels, right? And I find often if we just listen to the chat box, we move in very predictable ways of how our mind works. And it can be very disconnected from what actually is taking place in the nonverbal communication. Because, statistics really vary between, percentages of how much we communicate and understand each other actually through what is being talked on the audio channel. And there's so much that is being said through the nonverbal, which is the energy, which is your physical expression, how you hold yourself, the breath, what comes through your face. And I know, from a lot of people that I coach and work with, when we wake up to that, we become much better listeners. And we also become so much more transparent in how we communicate ourselves, especially if you hold a leadership position. It is so important that we present congruently, which means it's not just the words and the ideas that are being communicated, but I'm also letting people into my emotional self, and I'm also using my body as a tool to communicate and bring across my message. And that's often, when we see amazing, engaging speakers, Brené Brown is one of them. And, I could give you many examples, is like we feel them. And the reason we feel them is because they feel themselves and they're present to it. And they use, what I would call, the emotional and somatic intelligence as a tool to bring their message across.
Love it. So before we tell the viewers sort of a little bit about how they can learn more from you, can you just clarify what feminine leadership means to you?
Yeah, thank you for that. So I call it feminine ways of leading versus, a women's leadership, because I believe that the qualities that we're rediscovering, they have kind of gotten lost in our industrialization and civilization. Maybe not for everyone, but most people that I work with seem to, need to remember and recultivate these ways of the feminine. And I see it in, you know, men as well, is that deep longing to tap into more than just their brilliant minds, but to come into a more holistic way of leading. And that also influences how we're leading. You know, the feminine way is all about collaboration. So we're working within the element of the circle. That means no one is above and no one is below. We each have a place in the circle. And we're really looking, how can we enhance our experience of life through conscious collaborations? And that means I am myself with the gifts that I bring, and I bring in my emotional and physical self just as I would bring in my ideas. So it is in some ways a coming back to a more tribal way of leading, I believe. And the respect for the feminine as the creative force that comes from the mother earth, is a different one. It's like the body of work that I teach, the 5 rhythms, flowing, the feminine rhythm is the foundation that moves through all other rhythms. And the masculine, you know, not making that movement because the masculine is linear, comes from the feminine. And my understanding is that as leaders in this world, when we are connected to our feminine power and our feminine energies, men and women alike, the masculine, the fire, and our action is actually rooted in the body. And it is rooted in a wholeness with life itself. So those principles go together. It's not just, oh, we need to cultivate the feminine way of leading, but unless we're really grounded in the feminine, the masculine can feel disconnected and overpowering.
Yes, yes, and yes.
Yes, I see you nodding. You're like, yes.
I just adore you and your work, and you so beautifully said all the things I feel and believe, and I just really appreciate you being able to communicate that in such a way that really resonates with me. So, and I hope the rest of the people watching. So if you adored Bettina as much as me, how do people get to know you better? What are the routes in which they can work with you?
Thank you. That's a wonderful question. Well, I am based in Vancouver, and I offer a Wednesday drop-in class here on Commercial Drive that you had mentioned in the 5 rhythms, which is a conscious movement practice that really celebrates the wisdom of the body and intuition and ecstatic ways of being in your body that feel good. You know, I really want to stand up for the body being a place of pleasure and joy. And I teach retreats in different parts of the world, and often also work in companies with leadership. So one-on-one coaching, small groups, and leadership trainings is what I offer. And if you want to find out more about me, I'm sure you will post my link, but you can find me at bettinarothe.com. And I'm always happy to have a conversation. You know, that these topics are exciting for me. And I believe, you know, that we are, through those conversations, we're bringing ourselves into the next level of leadership of the world, of stewardship of the world.
Yes, this is very important. I see the bigger vision. I see us going there. So it's people like you and me and all the rest of the women that we cultivate in our world, and men, who can see the next evolution of our consciousness is really going to change this planet. It's really exciting times. I'm a believer.
Me too. I have been really working on my own faith. You know, it's like sometimes I feel so alone doing my work, especially in places that are not like Vancouver, where there's so many like-minded people, and I feel we speak the same language, we have the same visions. And I often work in areas where, you know, people are just starting to wake up to these teachings, and, you know, to keep on going is difficult. You know, the lone wolf phenomenon, I do have that. And so I really appreciate the shared journey and the support. You know, so I really want to thank you for allowing me to speak today. And I'm really open to more conversation with the viewers and you, because it's really in the shared that we come together in the new way of being and the new way of leading, as you said, in the global leadership of this beautiful planet we're on.
Yes. Well, that is our time, unfortunately. So thanks again, Bettina, so much for coming on. And viewers, get ready. There's more coming. We're gonna make this known. This is going to be known. This is going to be a known thing. Yeah, sometimes I'm always just so baffled that like not everyone thinks like this because I surround myself with so many women who think like me. And then when I meet someone who doesn't, I'm like, oh, really? And then it's like, yeah, duh, you know? So anyway, we got work to do.
Yes, we do.
Here we go.
And I just want to say that it's so important not to feel like we know something and this is like a special thing, but it's more just, we are on a journey together, and, it's like giving someone a hand and saying, I'm seeing, you're stuck. Can I support you? I think that's another way of the feminine that, we're always looking is how can we serve and how can we bring the people that are around us into a more holistic way of being, if they choose to.
Beautifully said. Yeah, you're right. It's not coveted. This is here for everyone, for all peoples. Yeah, absolutely. Okay.
Many blessings to everyone out there, and thank you, Adera. Have a beautiful day.
You too. Bye.